Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome into the EKU Game Day Show. Michael Watkins here with you as we close out another EKU football season as the Colonels play their final game of 2025, not going to the postseason after a very disappointing year for the Colonels. Do want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Many people getting together today to celebrate. Maybe if you've got a bigger family, it's hard to get everybody together for the holidays. So a lot of those Thanksgiving celebrations taking place today as we go forward. And, of course, the big day on Thursday with a very busy weekend ahead next weekend. But, again, today a big day for the EKU football team as they ended last week with another loss. It was the 2025 home slate coming to an end as the Colonels played number 18 Abilene Christian 17-10. Another close game for the Colonels, another one-possession game that just did not go their way, and that has been the case for much of 2025. A tale of two halves, if you will, a tale of a very inconsistent football team, and that has been the disappointing part about this season. 11 unanswered points by ACU late in the fourth quarter provided the spark that they needed and the difference in the game-winning touchdown that was set up by a recovery of an EKU fumble in Eastern Territory. It set up Abilene Christian with a chance to seal the game off, and they did just that. Obviously disappointed with the finish in the game, said head coach Walt Wells. I thought our young men fought all night and played with passion, both sides of the ball and special teams. We got the game to be where we needed it to be, but we can't turn the ball over there at the end. We needed to finish the game the right way. Eastern did not, and the Colonels lose again as they fall to 4-7 on the season, 2-5 in conference play. The loss, again, solidifies ACU with a chance to win the conference. They are 7-4 overall, 6-1 in the UAC, and they'll try to wrap things up today in their final regular season game. As far as the game last week, the Wildcats struck first with a 30-yard field goal with 6:28 remaining in the first quarter, following a 15-play, 74-yard drive. The EKU defense came up big on the next Abilene Christian drive as linebacker Gabe Stevens came in on a clear shot on the ACU quarterback, recording a sack fumble that was recovered by Jeremiah Bailey at EKU's own 47-yard line at the end of the first quarter. The Colonels were able to get 3 points off that turnover as Buzz Flabiano drilled a 41-yard field goal with 12:28 in the second quarter to tie the game at 3. Neither offense generated much momentum, battling winds in excess of 30 miles per hour with each team punting on the remaining drives. Eastern punted 3 times and ACU 4, and the Wildcats produced the only 2 first downs the rest of the half. And if you were there last week, you know how rough that wind is. And we've talked about it a lot throughout the years and doing the tailgate/game day show. There is a lot of wind that kind of just gets inside of Roy Kidd Stadium, inside that valley there, can make it very, very difficult for teams to move the football, to throw the football, to hold on to it, and that was the case again last weekend. ACU took the lead in the third quarter with 4:20 remaining and a 21-yard field goal after the Wildcats started their drive on EKU's 41-yard line after Jacob Baker's punt was knocked down by the wind. On the Wildcats' next possession, ACU drove down to the Colonels' 28-yard line, but with the strong winds in their face, the Wildcats went for it on 4th and 10 and came up half a yard short as EKU forced a turnover on downs. The Colonels' offense would capitalize on that opportunity as quarterback Miles Burkett found wide receiver Jackson House down the middle for a 55-yard gain to the Wildcats' 10-yard line. The longest pass of the season, Burkett to Jackson House, a 55-yarder. 2 plays later, running back Braden Latham powered his way in for a 3-yard touchdown run to put EKU up 10-6 with 9:13 left in the game. ACU then pulled within 1 after converting a 25-yard field goal, capping off a 7-play, 67-yard drive with 6:37 left. On the EKU first play of the ensuing drive, Burkett lost the ball while being sacked as the Wildcats recovered the loose ball, setting themselves up at the 11-yard line of the Colonels. 3 plays later, the Wildcats took the lead with a 6-yard touchdown pass and a 2-point conversion to go up 17-10 with 4:08 remaining. Eastern went 3-and-out on its next drive before ACU was able to milk 2:59 off the clock before pinning the Colonels on their own 16 with 17 seconds remaining. The Colonels were unable to complete a pass on their last drive, and the game ended 17-10 in favor of Abilene Christian. The Colonels on the road today, their final time playing Utah Tech. We'll look at that matchup, and we'll hear from EKU football coach Walt Wells on the other side when we come back on the Game Day Show here live on WBON-TV.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor Power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Cub Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now still in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
At the Galaxy Bowling Center and Champions Bar and Grill, we have activities galore, including video games, bowling, pool, delicious food at Champions, plus karaoke and live entertainment 7 days a week. Enjoy the climate-controlled patio, watch NFL football, and your Kentucky Wildcats all season long. The Galaxy Bowling Center and Champions Bar and Grill, just off exit 87 at 1025 Amberley Way in Richmond.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Granite, marble, and quartz for any surface. Make a lifetime commitment you won't regret.
Cars of Kentucky is a proud sponsor of Eastern Kentucky University Athletics. In Richmond, we bleed maroon. Go Colonels. And when you're ready for your next pre-owned automobile, swing on over to Cars of Kentucky. Cars of Kentucky has vehicles starting at $3,000 and up, so we literally have something for every budget. 356 Big Hill Avenue in Richmond, or check them out, carsofkentucky.com. Let's go Colonels!
You know, obviously not happy with the end results, but very pleased with how the effort of our players and the toughness that they showed throughout that game against a really good Abilene Christian team. I know that's not the end all be all, because winning is what's important. But when you look at how our players played and approached the game late in the season like it is, and the way things are going, really proud of their character and their competitive spirit. Thought they came out and played extremely hard. Had a mistake at the end that put us a little behind the 8 ball there, and then finished us out. And we've got to be better than that. We know that, but we've got to continue to fight and get victory. So hats off to Abilene Christian. And then obviously with Utah Tech coming in this weekend, or us going there this weekend, for the final game of the season. We've got to go out and handle the trip, handle the road, the flight and everything, to go across the country and go out and and play the way we're supposed to play at 2:00. And we've got to just clean up the mistakes that we made against Abilene and get better. Obviously, we've got to produce on offense, and we're looking at different ways to do that and continue to get better. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Coach, you talked about, the disappointment of the loss, and the whole season there's been, it seemed like every game you all have been right there, especially these FCS games. What do you think has been the biggest reason why there have been those inconsistencies on offense?
Well, I think until you do a deep dive into everything, in the off season, it's hard to totally answer that question. So what I say here, I'll preface that, we've got to study it and see for sure. I think obviously the first thing you look at is the immaturity we had in the offensive lines, and then the inconsistencies with injuries and different things in that group that, kept guys out, some guys out for the whole season. We've had a new center, two new centers since the Austin P game, and that probably created some different things there for us. And then, just some guys in and out. So the inconsistencies there, the inconsistencies at tight end. I think when you're looking at our offense, we want to be able to run the ball first. And that doesn't mean we're just a run heavy team. I think everybody knows we throw the ball, but we're not able to establish the run the way we want to. We've got two really extremely talented tailbacks that fight hard. And so we've got to do a better job of creating creases, which you saw at, Central Arkansas. And so we were able to do that there, and that just opens up our whole offense. And so I would say starting right there, I'm not putting all the blame on the offensive line and tight ends. That's not what I'm trying to say. We've had inconsistency at wide receiver with injuries. And so guys getting open and being able to double, Kyle Wise has been a problem. And so we just got to continue to do that, and we got to get consistent play out of everybody. When things aren't as good as they need to be, then everybody has to raise their game so that everybody can have success. The quarterback, the receivers, the tight ends, the running backs, and the offensive line. And so, I think you were asking about offense, Michael. I couldn't hear it very well, but that's where it's been. And in the games that we were able to have some success, the four games that we won against FCS opponents, we were really able to move the ball and run the football. And, our defense has been consistent for the most part, except for maybe really a game and a half is what I think, and played well enough for us to win.
Has there been a player or try to keep it positive?
No, yeah.
Has there been anything that's been a huge surprise for you this year? Maybe somebody stepped up when you maybe didn't think you'd have to rely on that person, but what's been the biggest surprise to you throughout the season?
It's hard. I mean, I'm gonna leave somebody out, obviously. But I think Brady Hensley came on and did a great job as our number 2 tailback, really 1B tailback. Braden Latham's 1A, and I think he did a great job offensively of really playing well in the limited, I don't want to say limited, but in the role that he was in. Defensively, I think there's a lot of guys that stepped up. I think Caden Smith from Campbellsville Taylor County has done a great job of transitioning to that inside linebacker. He played as a true freshman last year, was a backup, and then was a full-time starter, except for when he got injured this year. I think, he'll be the first one to tell you he's got to gain some weight and he's got to do some things, but he's a natural in there, I think. I think Brad Gurley. Brad Gurley was a guy that was a backup coming into fall camp. We had an injury to Gabe Fletcher, and he kind of Wally pipped him, and he got that he got that starting job, and he wasn't going to let it go, and it was hard for Gabe to come back and get it back. Gabe's played well, but Brad's played really well, I think. And then Tommy Ziesmer, Tommy came in and from Kentucky and has started every game and played well at the nose guard position and really done a great job for us. And like how he's playing inside there. He's got a lot to continue to learn, but you can tell from the beginning to the end, he's gotten better. Derek Taylor in the secondary, and I'm trying to, you're asking for the guys that we didn't know about, Derek Taylor in the secondary, who transferred in here from Cumberland University with 2 years left. And he's played really well back there, and we're really glad we have him. So those are, and Buzz Flaviano come in and replace Patrick Nations. And Buzz has come in and kicked well for us on our field goals and extra points. He came in from UTEP, and he really wanted that criminal justice degree, so that helps us out. And so or wants it, and he's done a nice job. And so we got to get him working on his kickoffs, but he's done a nice job. So those are some guys that I sit there and look at and say, all right, these are bright spots. I mean, these are guys that we've got to, stick around and do, they need to stay here and continue to develop and increase their value, increase our value. And so we're excited about them. I mean, and then you got Jackson House right here, who's probably got the longest reception of the year for us Saturday night. So, he's improved going from quarterback to wide receiver. So there's a lot of, I would say things that the fans don't see that we see, and that we know will pay off as we move forward with this program.
All right, last one. For you, when you've had seasons of making the playoffs and you have years like this, is there anything that maybe you've learned that you can do different going into next year that you can take from this year going into a new season?
I think the biggest thing that might help, and we're all in an unknown right now because this portal starting in January sounded like a great idea to everybody. Well, it's a great idea probably to the 4 to 6 teams that are in FBS that are going to be playing in the Final Four and the finals. So I guess that's what, I don't know, 6 teams maybe. And well, really not 6 teams, probably 4 to 8 teams, whatever. Because, you're going through all of December trying to figure out what your team is like, what your team is going to be like, what you need to get. And then you have a 2-week window that is going to be wide open and people are starting the semester back. I mean, here's what the NCAA, in my opinion, here's what the NCAA, I don't know who's making these rules, maybe college presidents, maybe athletic directors, and I'm not trying to just place blame, whoever's on these committees, they forget these guys got to go to class and that everybody's not on the same academic calendar. Now, we're fortunate. We don't start until the 20th of January. So that gives us some time to try to figure out who's going to be out there for the people that we lose and the people that we need to, which are seniors and then whoever else, and then replace with. And so I think that's what makes it difficult, Michael, is, we lose, a starting offensive lineman in April. We lose a corner we lose some people in the spring because agents are recruiting them and everybody's replacing. I get it. We gotta have better answers. And the biggest answer is you never stop recruiting. We know that. And you better have people to replace every player on your team that are as good and all that. The problem is the experience comes in and the knowledge of football. And so we got to keep fighting. And I'm not trying to make excuses. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. That's the life we're in right now. I think you see it like Texas was in the playoffs last year. Now they're going to fight for their life against Texas A&M and whoever they got left to get into playoff this year. The FBS is finding out what this playoff situation is all alike. And that's why there was something last night. Somebody said to me about them wanting to go to 24. Heck yeah, they want to go to 24 because, if you don't make the playoffs, you're in trouble. and so it's, Doug Carter, I don't know if anybody remembers Doug. Doug was the offensive line coach here before me for Coach Kidd. Doug said this a long time ago, and it's kind of funny. He goes, everybody loves, the problem with the playoffs is there's only one person happy at the end of the year. When there's bowls, everybody's happy. And or 50% of everybody's happy. And I get it. What the goals are. Our goals are never going to change here as long as I'm the head coach here. It's be undefeated at home, win a conference championship, play for and win a national championship. Those are the goals and expectations, and those are like I said many times, have been set long before us, and that's our job to uphold that. But those are lofty goals, and you got to continue to fight, and everybody's got to pull the same direction and get there. So there's a lot of things you learn, Michael, when you lose. Probably as much learning it when you lose as when you win, because winning masks, everybody feels good, everybody's like that. And you got to get to the point where it's all about the process. Are we doing the things that give us an opportunity to do that, and let the outcomes not be a distraction, but let the outcomes be what they are? And if you're doing things right and you're getting the right people in your program and they're working hard and they're staying healthy and they're doing things like that, and everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction, then you're going to have the success that you're looking for.
Have you heard about JB's Grow Shop? They are one of the most unique businesses in Richmond. If you're a farmer or a gardener, then you and JB's Grow Shop will make a great team. They provide the highest quality organic soils, nutrients, castings, and much more to meet your indoor and outdoor growing needs. Their experts will meet with you and make sure that you are getting the most out of your homegrown plants. JB's Grow Shop is located in the Southern Hills Plaza Shopping Center at 956 Commercial Drive in Richmond. When life throws you a curveball, Richmond City Taxi is just a call away. Fast, friendly, and always dependable. Just had an eye appointment? Don't risk driving home. Let Richmond City Taxi get you there safely. We're your neighbor on the go. Wherever you are, we'll be there. Richmond City Taxi. Local, reliable, trusted. Call Richmond City Taxi at 859-779-4461. In the event of an accident, please contact Shane Blankenship and Brandon Witt at Berea Collision, where you will receive exceptional quality and competitive pricing. Located behind Near New Auto at 110 Fairground Road in Berea, they are dedicated to serving their local community with top-notch repairs and unparalleled customer service. Berea Collision also services RVs, buses, and campers. Call them today at 859-985-2583 to experience the Berea Collision difference. Berea Collision Center, where precision meets perfection.
When it comes to auto service, two things are important: experience and hometown service. Hall & Sons Auto Care is starting their 20th year in business in Richmond. That's 20 years locally owned and operated. Hall & Sons Auto Care can take care of you from preventative maintenance to major engine repair. Hall & Sons Auto Care is also carrying BW towing products as well as rough country suspension and lift kits. Give us a chance to be your auto repair shop. Visit us at 209 North Keeneland Drive in Richmond.
Founded by Kentuckians for Kentuckians, Whitaker Bank is a uniquely Kentucky bank committed to the communities it serves. At Whitaker Bank, you'll find personalized service, a dedication to excellence, and a genuine desire to help you achieve your financial goals. Visit us at any of our conveniently located branches or go to whitakerbank.com to learn how Whitaker Bank can serve you. Whitaker Bank, uniquely Kentucky.
We're back here on the EKU Game Day Show. You heard from Walt Wells following the loss to Abilene Christian and looking ahead to the game today against Utah Tech. And he also talked a little bit about the insights of the program and some of the surprises he has seen throughout the year. One thing that Coach really didn't touch on is the new day and age of college football. That was one of the things that he did talk about on Tuesday, however, about how, with the criminal justice program that EKU has, a lot of athletes who are unable to go play football at the professional level, they will get into, maybe the police academy or the firefighters or just the criminal justice department in general. That is a big recruiting tool that EKU has at its disposal, especially when you go into the transfer portal. Coach Wells talked about that as well, and how they continue to change things up with the portal. There's been 2 or 3 portal windows in the past, and you can tell the NCAA is still trying to figure out how they want to proceed with the transfer portal. One thing that Coach talked about now is there's only one portal window. In the past, I think it's been maybe up to 2 or 3 weeks before the season before you can kind of close that. So that really makes it difficult in scheduling scrimmages, scheduling spring game things, or whatever the case might be, because a lot of these recruits or recruiters will watch your team practice against theirs or come and scout your practice, and they'll call that player up and be like, hey, we can offer you more money than EKU can. And that is one of the things that Coach Wells talked about in the press conference on Tuesday, especially when you look at the players that he's got and as they go forward. How many of these guys does he expect back? And will there be some of them that he's already had conversations with before this final game today?
I'll have those conversations. Guys know if I want to, they know I want to keep them. I'm not big in cutting people. I'm not big in I mean, I've done it and we'll continue to do it, obviously. But I'm not big in doing that. And then with people leaving, I understand the opportunities that are out there that we can't match sometimes. And that's hard to do. And, but they know how I feel about them. And we'll have those meetings next week before Thanksgiving. Now that we have that opportunity, since we're not going to the playoffs, and express those feelings to negatively and positively. And that's the bad thing about the business now, is a lot of the pure development is tough. It's hard to be a young kid, come in and, I could sit here and count numbers and numbers and numbers of guys, Keith, that here at Western, at New Mexico State, even South Florida, that, you just keep around and let them marinate. And, they mature. And then the next thing you know, they have a 2-year career. And if you're a 2-year starter, that's a really good career, to be honest with you. And people don't think of that anymore like that. But those days are sadly, they're slowly going away, because, you have to have guys ready to go. And because, when my guys get taken, I got to replace with somebody that has the experience and the ability to do what they did, at least. And so that's the hard part of the business right now. I do think it is a draw. And, my experience here over the years, a lot of football players used to go into law enforcement of some type, you know what I mean? And so, we've got state troopers, we've got FBI agents, we've got Secret Service agents, we've got people that work in the cyber world and do all that type of stuff. So, I think, and we've got guys in, like I said, Buzz Flabiano's family has been involved in, I can't remember, either FBI or Secret Service. And that was a draw to him. I mean, here's a guy that was a 2-year starter at UTEP. And so he had a lot of people recruiting him, but it was a draw for him because he wanted that education, and he did his research and realized that, hey man, this is a good institution for that degree, and one of the best in the nation, if not the best, year in and year out. And so I think it is a draw, and it's good for people. We work with them on things. We do a lot of that. I'd say we probably have 6 or 8 in it right now, and I think that's big for them. I think, and I understand your question, and I think it could work, Dick, in the fact that they have changed the portal to one window. So now, once January the 16th is over, okay, your team should be pretty much set. And so it just depends on how you create that team and what you have to create it with. Now that's the difficulty of it, because of the the rev sharing and the scholarships and how you can do things. Some people may front load their team and not have as big of a team in the back end. Some teams may go even with it and do it that way. So it depends on how you're managing your roster and what you can bring in. And some, it doesn't matter, because they've got all the money in the world, and they can have as many guys on scholarship as they need to, and still be able, in the fall and in the spring. So it is a little bit of that going on. I would think a game in the spring or a game in the summer, even, in my opinion, like the NFL model, is something that would help these teams. I mean, I just look at the University of Georgia, and I hadn't studied them. Obviously, I don't have time, but you'll follow the scores and everything. They started off a little slow this year. And even though they only lost 1 game, they started off, a little slow. And now they're playing at a high level. And if they probably would have had some scrimmages or games or whatever you want to call them with other universities, they could work those kinks out. And I think we've got to understand, either it's got to happen in the spring on how we do this portal thing, or it's got to happen in the fall, because, we're doing everything like the NFL. Why not go to that NFL model? Why not give us OTAs and all that stuff in the spring? Why not give us everything? Now, I do think we should be able to go out and pad some, because we're still 17 to 22-year-olds. And the development phase is is getting in those pads and doing some things. And that's the biggest difference from the NFL model and where we're at. But I think you'll see some things like that coming down the pipe as we move forward, because coaches are going to get over, hey, they're going to see my players and try to take. Now they can't. Now, if we go play somebody in the spring or in the summer, they can't take your players. So, I mean, they're technically not. Now, I also understand, Dick, if they decide to sue right now, everybody that says I'm going to sue, they get what they want, and we move forward and we change the rule. It was going to be 5 for 5, right? Then it was going to be, no, they're not going 5 for 5. Then I think it was a basketball guy sued, and now it looks like we're going to be 5 for 5, which means, 5 years to play 5.
Right.
So, to me, it just, why not just sue and then for everything and then get it the way we want to get it, because we can't do that, but the schools that have the influence do that and set the rules. And that's kind of the issue we're getting into. It's a very loaded, good question, but very loaded question that, now with one portal window, and even if you graduate like in the spring, you can't go in the portal until the next year in January. So now going and playing somebody in the spring, well, they're not going to say, dang, that guy played really well against us. So let's get him and come play on our team. We can pay him more than Eastern Kentucky can. And so, that is, how do I say it? That is the challenge that is at our level. Just like I said, last year, I had an offensive guard who was going to play tackle, who was a freshman All-American, and he's going through spring ball, and some agent reaches out to him, and 3 days later, he's in the portal and ends up at Purdue. I can't match it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've got all these things, PFF, you get all the, they get PFF grades. Well, PFF doesn't know what the grades are, whether they're right or wrong, and you got all these other people grading and saying, hey, here. The biggest thing they do is these agents do, Dick, is they look at the all-conference winners, the all-American winners, the all this, and then they just start going after them. They just wait for the work to be done for them and then try to go either get their 10 to 20%.
So it'll be very, very interesting what that schedule might look like. Last week we talked to Coach about the schedule. You heard that on the tailgate show, the game day show, about maybe potentially putting those FBS games at the back end of the schedule, like we saw last week with Kentucky playing Tennessee Tech, with Austin Peay and other teams in the conference playing out-of-conference games. We'll see if maybe that's something the Colonels add to their schedule as they go into the future. As for the UAC, the conference as a whole, the two big teams remaining, Tarleton State and Abilene Christian, they're both 6-1, both big games today, a chance to close out a conference championship. Abilene Christian does hold the tiebreaker with that win over Tarleton State. So should the Wildcats win today, they will secure that top seed in the UAC. Tarleton State, I would suspect, will also get a bid to the postseason, maybe even Southern Utah as well, getting a bid to the postseason. So it'll be interesting as that goes forward and into the postseason when those brackets come out over the weekend. Again, the Colonels will close out their season today. We'll look ahead to that matchup with Utah Tech when we come back on the EKU Game Day Show.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor Power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Code Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now Steel in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
At the Galaxy Bowling Center and Champions Bar and Grill, we have activities galore, including video games, bowling, pool, delicious food at Champions, plus karaoke and live entertainment 7 days a week. Enjoy the climate-controlled patio, watch NFL football, and your Kentucky Wildcats all season long. The Galaxy Bowling Center and Champions Bar and Grill, just off exit 87 at 1025 Amberley Way in Richmond.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Granite, marble, and quartz for any surface. Make a lifetime commitment you won't regret.
Cars of Kentucky is a proud sponsor of Eastern Kentucky University Athletics. In Richmond, we bleed maroon. Go Colonels. And when you're ready for your next pre-owned automobile, swing on over to Cars of Kentucky. Cars of Kentucky has vehicles starting at $3,000 and up, so we literally have something for every budget. 356 Big Hill Avenue in Richmond, or check them out, carsofkentucky.com. Let's go Colonels!
Welcome back into the EKU Game Day Show. So glad to have you with us for one final time this year. And again, want to wish everybody out there a happy and safe Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season. This time of year is so much fun to be just a sports fan, but also getting to spend time with your friends and family as you go throughout the holidays. I hope you are able to enjoy those times and do so in a safe and happy manner. As for EKU football, they'll close things out today. The Colonels traveling to Utah for the final time. Coach Wells talked about that during his press conference and how this travel, man, it's hard. It's very hard, especially today. It's the final regular season game. You know, neither team really playing for anything. Utah Tech's got a worse record than the Colonels do. They will put a bow on their 2025 season and play its final game as a member of the UAC when they take on the Colonels today. It will be Senior Day, and Utah Tech enters Saturday's finale looking for its first victory with the Colonels. The Trailblazers are 0-2 all-time versus EKU. That includes a 34-30 home loss the last time the two sides met in St. George 2 years ago. And then Utah Tech made its first ever trip to the Bluegrass State last season. EKU managed to win that game and defend home turf with a 28-17 victory last year. Saturday's game will serve as Senior Day as 16 Trailblazer seniors will suit up for the final time at Greater Zion Stadium. And again, it has been a rough year for Utah Tech. Like them, EKU enters this Saturday's finale looking to halt a two-game slide of its own and to end the 2025 season with the victory. The Colonels split their first 6 ball games of the season, but they have lost 4 of their last 5, with that only win coming against Austin Peay or against Central Arkansas. Their only win in their last 5 games coming against Central Arkansas on the road, and 3 of those losses have come at home, including that loss last week to Abilene Christian. Miles Burkett has thrown for 1,343 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season, but he has also thrown 9 picks, and that has been the biggest issue with Burkett this season. The offense has been very, very inconsistent. Can Utah Tech take advantage of that and close out their final game in the UAC with a big victory? Colonels will try to close out the season with a win here today on the road. It's a big day for Walt Wells and the Colonels. You know you want to end this season on a high note. You want to get some win, get some momentum going into next season, and have some good things to talk about when you bring those players in for their final interviews and their final things to talk about to put a bow on the season. It's Colonels and Utah Tech. Kickoff is 4 p.m. Eastern Time, so a lot of time between now and then to settle in. Enjoy some Thanksgiving dinners with your friends and family if you're doing that today, and get ready for some EKU football. Hoping the Colonels can come back to Richmond and bring home a victory with them to close out the 2025 season. Thanks to our producer, Gage Hill, throughout the season with the Game Day Show. Thanks to Howard Miller, who has joined me for the home games portion of the schedule. I'm Michael Watkins, folks. Have a great week. Have a great day. And we'll see you next year for the EKU Game Day Show.
Have you heard about JB's Grow Shop? They're one of the most unique businesses in Richmond. If you're a farmer or gardener, then you and JB's Grow Shop will make a great team. They provide the highest quality organic soils, nutrients, castings, and much more to meet your indoor and outdoor growing needs. Their experts will meet with you and make sure that you are getting the most out of your homegrown plants. JB's Grow Shop is located in the Southern Hills Plaza Shopping Center at 956 Commercial Drive in Richmond. When life throws you a curveball, Richmond City Taxi is just a call away. Fast, friendly, and always dependable. Just had an eye appointment? Don't risk driving home. Let Richmond City Taxi get you there safely. We're your neighbor on the go. Wherever you are, we'll be there. Richmond City Taxi. Local, reliable, trusted. Call Richmond City Taxi at 859-779-4461. In the event of an accident, please contact Shane Blankenship and Brandon Witt at Berea Collision, where you will receive exceptional quality and competitive pricing. Located behind Near New Auto at 110 Fairground Road in Berea, they are dedicated to serving their local community with top-notch repairs and unparalleled customer service. Berea Collision also services RVs, buses, and campers. Call them today at 859-985-2583 to experience the Berea Collision difference. Berea Collision Center, where precision meets perfection.
When it comes to auto service, two things are important: experience and hometown service. Hall & Sons Auto Care is starting their 20th year in business in Richmond. That's 20 years locally owned and operated. Hall & Sons Auto Care can take care of you from preventative maintenance to major engine repair. Hall & Sons Auto Care is also carrying BW towing products as well as rough country suspension and lift kits. Give us a chance to be your auto repair shop. Visit us at 209 North Keeneland Drive in Richmond.
Founded by Kentuckians for Kentuckians, Whitaker Bank is a uniquely Kentucky bank committed to the communities it serves. At Whitaker Bank, you'll find personalized service, a dedication to excellence, and a genuine desire to help you achieve your financial goals. Visit us at any of our conveniently located branches or go to whitakerbank.com to learn how Whitaker Bank can serve you. Whitaker Bank, uniquely Kentucky.